If a city builder and a crafting game got together and made sweet love to a PvP PvE action RPG, the vampire spawn might look like V Rising. But is it any good? Watch on and find out. My name is Thoraxe, and this is Strategy for Busy People. If you've got a few minutes, I'll tell you what to play. Note: I played this game in November 2024, and there have been expansions and updates since then. We like survival and building and crafting titles, so V Rising by Stunlock Studios looked like an interesting combination of these things and more. I put about 23 hours into exploring what this title had to offer. V Rising's premise is somewhat unique, elegantly combining quite a lot of vampire tropes into an action RPG with tasteful use of the other previously mentioned elements. You are a vampire who has arisen after a long time off, ready to take back your supposedly rightful place at the top of humanity. Your first task is to build a small base of operations from which you will continue to build, craft, and explore the map. One of the nice things about this game is that the progression through the game is extremely clear. There is a hit list of ever more powerful bosses that you must dispatch. With each foe that you prevail over, you are rewarded with new crafting stations, items, and skills. After vanquishing these foes, you return to your castle to grow it some more by building those new crafting stations, upgrading your gear by, crafting gear at the crafting stations, and then going out to do it all over again. Each of the crafting stations either transforms raw materials or is used as a kind of final assembly point. Later crafting and resource handling stations work together to produce the higher level gear. Initially, you can only make crude gear by hand, but this quickly progresses to, for example, ever more complex clothing crafting stations to make better armor. Another interesting mechanic with respect to your castle construction and crafting has to do with the concept of rooms. As you enclose an area of your castle with walls and a door, it becomes a room. But rooms need flooring. By changing the flooring type in a particular enclosed space, you can make it into a specialized room. There is special flooring for forging raw materials into metals, for general work, for tailoring, for alchemy, and so on and so forth. Enclosing stations in a room gives them a small production bonus, and having the specialty room type for that crafting station gives an even larger production bonus. Those production bonuses come in the flavor of either a reduction in production time or a reduction in input resources. In addition to all of the crafting, there is also some survival element to the game in the form of the blood pool. Each type of enemy you encounter has a different blood type, and the quality of the blood of that enemy will provide different bonuses to your offensive capabilities. If you don't feed on humans, eventually your blood pool runs out and you start to take damage. There becomes an interesting mechanical balance of having a particular blood type of a very high quality, being low on blood pool, and only having access to enemies with very low blood qualities. Supposedly you can manufacture blood later in the game, but I didn't get that far. In addition to the bosses you must continually rise to defeat, pun intended, there are also some non-boss related quests that give you additional rewards, also in the form of items you can craft, stations, and so forth. The map is actually quite large and offers many places for you to set up your castle. Traveling around the map is made easier by special vampire teleportation portals. This fast travel is quite important because, in sticking with vampire tropes, sunlight is the enemy. There is an ever-present and ever-progressing clock that indicates the time of day. When the sun rises, you better seek shelter because you can be turned into a pile of ash if you spend too much time in the sunlight. The game does a great job of functionally using light and shadow in the context of this vampire trope. Navigating all nimbly-pimbly from tree to tree once the sun has come up is vitally important to you getting back to your castle alive. The game can feel a bit grindy at times, where you have to go on raw material runs to collect enough stuff to craft it into other stuff to then finally make the stuff that you want. But once you have that sweet gear and have leveled up and go take down that boss you've been chasing, the experience is quite fulfilling. In a fairly typical action RPG format, each boss has particular attacks, timings, and action patterns that you have to figure out how to adjust your playstyle to deal with. You have your choice of weapons, and you can have all of the different types available for equipping at a moment's notice. Transitioning between the primary attacks, special attacks, and your own spell skills is critical to success. Fortunately, the game allows you to change your spells effortlessly, and you can even easily respec the points you have spent on them to learn a different set. Understanding the effects of the weapons, their special attacks, and your skills in combination is super important too. Depending on the boss you are fighting and the other enemies that tend to surround them, you may have to focus on ranged attacks, area attacks, melee, or some combination of all of them. There is usually more than one way to successfully defeat a boss, but there are plenty of available tutorials on the internet that help you through the process. Oh, by the way, there are also a ton of other systems in the game, like turning humans into servants, both PvP and PvE modes, sending your servants on gathering missions, decorating your castle, and much, much more. Before I give my final verdict, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to share it with your friends. Agree with me, disagree with me, or want to see other content? Let me know in the comments below. Want to try this game yourself? Check out my humble affiliate link below. And if you want to support me in making more of these videos, become a patron on Patreon. Your support really makes a difference. The final verdict. Once I got into Act 2 of the game, it seemed like the difficulty either really escalated or the game was exposing me to the fact that I hadn't learned to play quote-unquote correctly, and I found myself dying over and over again. Fortunately, you don't lose your equipment when you die. It's just your inventory that is dropped, and you can usually go back to it and pick it up again. After failing to dispatch the next set of bosses quite a few times, I couldn't bring myself to turn the difficulty down to easier than normal, so I stopped playing. On my trademarked 3-point score scale of avoid, meh, and I forgot to eat, there's certainly a lot of blood drinking in this game and a fair bit of consuming potions and other things. Overall, this game was fun. And if you think this mixture of game mechanics seems interesting, you will enjoy it too. Ultimately, though, I had to stop drinking the fake blood of my enemies and hearing the lamentations of their women so that I could get ready for Thanksgiving ham. Sorry, I'm just not that much of a turkey fan.